Hi there! In this video, we'll talk about your ADHD questions. My name is Katherine Lizardo. I'm the ADHD mom, TEDx speaker, and lawyer. I have over 20 years of experience with ADHD since my diagnosis as an adult. Thank you so much for following and joining me today. If you're doing your first live Instagram ever, you try to have your notes with you so you don't wing it. Just FYI. And so type in your questions below and please invite your friends to join us. It's ADHD Awareness Month, so that it's the best time to spread information right now about ADHD. And since this is my first Instagram Live, I'm reading what Instagram is telling me below. It's saying, we're telling your followers that you've started a live video. Hang on, we're telling more followers to join your video. So thank you, Instagram, for doing that. In the meantime, go ahead and type in your questions below. I'll try to answer them. Also, we will have a live Q&A on Thursday, and it's going to be a different time. It will be at 1 p.m. Central Time, so that people who can't make it in the morning, we have an afternoon Q&A for you. We'll have this live Q&A throughout October so that we can spread positive information and reliable information about ADHD. So I've received some questions already before, and we'll go ahead and tackle that. But first of all, since we are people with ADHD, so we have to keep track of time. So here's my timer that I recently bought. I like it because it's very visual, and I'll start the time. And as you can see, I forgot to start it at the very beginning at 11 o'clock. So 2 minutes have passed before I click the time. But as you can see, this is a good timer too for people with ADHD because it's very visual, as you can see, and it's digital. So you can just press whenever. But I wanted to respect your time and make sure that we keep this 15 minutes only. This is intended to be a coffee break kind of Q&A. So I want to respect your time and finish this before 15 minutes. I do have a sore throat. That's why I'm not drinking coffee right now. And my voice is a little bit harsh right now. So, but I promised to do this live Q&A, and I want to make it happen. So here we go. Here's the first question that we previously had, and I wanted to go ahead and put that on a whiteboard, but so you can see, but I think it's backwards. How did you get diagnosed? That's supposed to be the question. So how did I get diagnosed? Interestingly, I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD first. I got diagnosed with depression first. I was in college at UCLA actually when that happened. I was at my office hours with my English professor, and I was talking about my English essay. I went in there and wanted to talk about my essay, how I can improve it better. And out of the blue, I just started crying, and not just tears streaming. I'm talking about bawling, where I can't even breathe because I was just crying all over the place and I can't even talk. And I told my professor, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know why I'm crying in front of you. And that's when she gave me this compassionate, kind look with her eyes. I can even picture it right now. She was so kind and said, I think you might have depression. And I asked her, what's depression? I've never heard of that before. That's because I grew up in the Philippines and I just immigrated to the United States. It's been a couple of years only. I've never heard of the word depression or mental health. She explained what that was to me and asked me to, and suggested for me to go to the UCLA mental health clinic, where it's free for UCLA students. So I went ahead and consulted and talked to a UCLA therapist there. It didn't really help me, even though they were trying, because there were just such limited resources that they could not give me consistent appointments for my therapy. So time passed, and I didn't have health insurance. So time passed, and I didn't get any more treatment or diagnosis, any medication. And then after I graduated from college and started working, I finally had the health insurance so that I can see a psychiatrist, because some of my ADHD symptoms started coming back again. I didn't know it was ADHD symptoms at that time. That's why I thought, okay, you know what? Something is wrong. Something just didn't feel right. Right? Have you had that before where you just felt something is wrong? I need help. I'm trying to help myself, but I think I need professional help or outside help. That's why I sought a psychiatrist. I made an appointment, and again, I already have health insurance there, and saw a psychiatrist. And I was lucky, I was blessed that I found a psychiatrist who was well aware and well informed about ADHD. He's the one who diagnosed me with ADHD. And like my depression, I did not know what ADHD was about, or what ADHD was even, because I haven't heard of it. That's why during my therapy with him, he's a psychiatrist, he was able to provide me and with my medication. That the type of doctor that actually prescribes medication is called a psychiatrist. Other doctors or non-doctors such as psychologists can, or just certified therapists, not just, because they are very helpful and they have a lot of certification, but those who are not doctors cannot prescribe ADHD medication. And that's why I was lucky too that I saw a psychiatrist who was able to prescribe me ADHD medication, and that was life changing. And then during my therapy with him as well, he was able to provide me therapy. Now, this was over 20 years ago. Not a lot of psychiatrists offers therapy with their treatment. Most psychiatrists, they only prescribe the medication and then they see you a month after. My psychiatrist was called a psychoanalyst, or oh no, psychotherapist. That's what he was called. That's why he was able to provide me with a weekly therapy as well. At the beginning, it was 2 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. And then as I progressed, it became once a week. I was on therapy with him for about 10 years, once a week. Unfortunately, he passed away unexpectedly from a complication from a surgery. That's why my therapy with him ended, but I also sought other therapists and other psychiatrists who were able to provide me with treatment. So that's why for the past 20 or more years, I've been in therapy pretty much once a week for the past 20 years. And I've been on medication on and off, depending on my life situation, such as whether or not I'm pregnant or trying to have a baby, or breastfeeding, or whatever the life circumstance I have at that time. So as you can see, treatment for ADHD varies. Now, another question I've received is, how do you get screened for ADHD? This is a very important question because a lot of people actually do not know about this free self-screening tool that the World Health Organization actually created, and it's out there. I discovered it, and that's why I wrote a blog post, so that I can show people that what it is. And so the blog post I have on my website, ADHDLifeSimplified.com, there's a link to that self-screening tool. And it's so easy. It's self-screening because you can do this at home or anywhere else. It only takes 5 minutes to complete. There's only 6 questions, and they tell you also how to score it. I explain all of that too in my blog post. The coolest part is they actually translated it into different languages. The reason the World Health Organization did that is they wanted to bridge the gap between people who don't have health insurance, don't have access to medical care, don't have the time to go to a doctor and miss their job or miss their school to get screened by a doctor, also who don't have money to pay for the consultation or the screening, but they know that they are suffering from certain symptoms, or there's something not right, or they think they might have ADHD. This is the tool that you can use to screen yourself before you actually get an official diagnosis. It's important to remember that you still need to get an official diagnosis. So this screening tool, just go ahead and print it out. You can go to my website, to my blog post there, and then print it out, answer it yourself, and then whatever your score is from there, it'll tell you if you likely have ADHD or you likely do not have ADHD. But that's a great start by itself, and people from other countries can also use it and download the form that is according to your specific language. This is a questionnaire that has been researched, and even the translation of the self-screening tool have been researched as well to make sure that the translation is correct. This is not just questions that some random people came up with and said, oh, it's maybe if you answer these questions, then you have ADHD. No, it took a lot of research to write these specific questions and to translate them. Also, the questions are in compliance or consistent with the DSM criteria, which is the manual that psychiatrists use for mental health concerns, how to diagnose them, and for their treatment. So it's a very reliable screening tool. Please, if you or someone you know who is an adult, because this is for an adult screening tool only, if you or someone you know think that they might have ADHD, please go ahead and share that there is a screening tool for them. And because this is ADHD Awareness Month, what can you do? What can I do to spread information about ADHD? Maybe that screening tool is a good start for all of us, that if we think someone has ADHD or someone might be thinking that they might have ADHD, just tell them, did you know there's a self-screening tool for ADHD for adults, and it's free? It only takes 5 minutes to complete. You can score it yourself, and it'll tell you if you are likely ADHD or not likely ADHD. And if you are likely ADHD, then you can use that. You can use your response in that screening tool to take with you to your doctor to show that there's credibility to you believing and thinking that you have ADHD, because unfortunately some doctors out there are not well informed about ADHD. That's why when you go to them, they might say, you don't have ADHD, you're fine. And so we need to advocate for ourselves as well. And that's a separate post or separate live Q&A that I'll do. It's 11:14, and I mentioned that I want to make sure I end this at 15 minutes. Let me just check my notes here. I think we've answered all of the questions so far. On Thursday, come join us, and next Tuesday, I will have this live Q&A as well at this time, 11 a.m. Central Time. And on Thursday, I'll have it at 1 p.m. Central Time. Bring in your questions or DM me your questions beforehand. I'll answer them for you, and follow me for more, because in our social media, we are blasting ADHD information, simplified, reliable ADHD information for you. I hope this was helpful, and I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Subscribe for more.